what this chapter is about is how we would educate children so as to have a peaceful, coexistent life. And another major part here, because every time you say education or re-education, they immediately think fascist craziness. But the funny thing is that when you understand Mr. Fresco's ideas of education, a fascist system that basically relies on nationalist fervor and essentially, it relies on people being ignorant and unable to critically think for themselves would never succeed in a Venus Project society. And the reason why is because Jacques Fresco believes that our children should be that our children's independent, critical thinking should be cultivated as the most important resource of humankind. Period. You can't get away with being some kind of regime that's going to take over the world if you have critically thinking, intelligent children who've been encouraged to think and to evaluate what's going on around them with their brains and actually really know what's going on. That's not something that we're doing anymore. So I'll stop preaching and I'll get to the book. All right, Chapter 14, Education, Minds in the Making. The more intelligent our children, the better our lives and the richer our culture will be. Every child using drugs and living a life without direction and purpose is a damaged life that we will have to pay for in the future. It is our children who will inherit the future. With the proper information and nurturing, they will understand that Earth is a fantastic place, capable of providing more than enough for the needs of everyone. The development of a new civilization involves not only the construction of new cities for living, but also the building of positive and caring interpersonal relationships. The young and old of this new civilization will learn to live in harmony with one another. Education plays the most important role in achieving this goal, particularly in children. The subject studied will be related to the direction and the needs of this new evolving culture. This new curriculum will emphasize the generalist point of view and the introduction to the general science. Students will be made aware of the symbiotic relationships between people, technology, and the environment. They will have a better understanding of the evolution of cultures and the application of advanced technology to this new social design. Schools of tomorrow will teach children to be analytical. Students will study the interrelationships of life rather than discrete and unconnected subject matter. The focus will be on the interrelationships of humans with Earth and with each other. Early education will emphasize understanding and cooperation. In the redesign of education, the first questions asked are, what ends does education serve? And in a cybernated world society, how do we determine the direction of education? Some goals might be, 1. Working toward regarding the world's resources as a common heritage. 2. Transcending the artificial boundaries that separate people. 3. Replacing the monetary economy with a resource-based world economy. 4. Reclaiming and restoring the environment to as nearly a natural condition as possible. 5. Redesigning cities, transportation systems, and agricultural and industrial plants so that they are energy sufficient, clean, and serve the needs of all people. 6. Outgrowing political governance, whether at the local, national, or supranational levels, as a means of social management. 7. Sharing and applying new technologies for the benefit of all. 8. Exploring, developing, and using clean renewable energy sources such as wind, solar, geothermal, and tidal power. 9. Utilizing the highest quality products for the benefit of the world's people while eliminating planned obsolescence. 10. Focusing on interpersonal skills to improve relationships. 11. Requiring an environmental impact study prior to construction of any mega projects. 12. Encouraging the widest range of creativity and incentives toward constructive endeavors. 13. Stabilizing the world's population through education and voluntary birth control. Note I said voluntary, just to get that out of the way, in order to conform to the carrying capacity of Earth. 14. Eliminating nationalism, bigotry, and prejudice. 15. Phasing out any type of elitism, technical or otherwise. I'm going to say that one more time for those of us who haven't gotten the message that the Venus Project has nothing to do with the NWO, but want to get that out of the way one more time. Phasing out of any type of elitism, technical or otherwise. Thank you, I feel better now. 16, arriving at methodologies through careful research rather than random opinions. 17, enhancing communication so that our language is more relevant to the physical conditions of the world around us. 18, providing not only the necessities of life, but also challenges that stimulate the mind, while emphasizing individuality rather than uniformity. 19, finally, preparing people intellectually and emotionally for the changes that lie ahead. Ultimately, these goals determine the direction education will take. If we decide to explore the moon's surface or dig a tunnel under the sea, we must first build an organization dedicated to that goal with the capabilities to accomplish it. To develop a civilization that provides a higher standard of living for all and eliminates war, poverty, and hunger, society must adopt goals that can accomplish these ends. With a resource-based economy, education would stress a cooperative world enterprise in which individuality, creativity, and cooperation would be the norm rather than the exception. It would be free of politics, folkways, and superstitions, and would encourage the widest possible innovative thinking. In the schools of a unified world civilization, classrooms could provide information about human behavior and the forces that shape our cultures and values. All students could have access to information without restrictions of any kind. Individual ideologies would remain as a set of tools and as an associative framework, but would undergo self-modification and growth with new information and experiences. What would likely be perplexing to the citizens of the future is why there was, in the past, only one Edison, one Pasteur, one Alexander Graham Bell, one Tesla, and in general, so few others of their caliber. Why was it that so few original minds managed to emerge from the billions of populating our planet? Now, I'm going to take a quick moment for myself here to point something out. If it wasn't for the fact that Edison's mother took him out of school, he would not have been the great mind that he was. He was very dyslexic, and the students and the teachers made fun of him. He was very discouraged, and if it wasn't for the fact that his mother just had enough of it and took him out of school and educated him herself, we wouldn't have had Thomas Edison. Think about that very heavily and the implications of that. We move on now. Imagine a world where thousands of such individuals live and prosper at the same time, thinking and creating to their full ability, a world in which most human beings actively participate in the improvement of Earth's conditions instead of simply toiling to make a living. People of the future may find it incredible that leaders of independent nations and industries could not grasp the possibilities of a social system of cooperation rather than of competition. We desperately need a saner mode of civilization that no longer divides humankind. Residents of new network communities would be educated from birth to consider themselves planetary citizens without sacrificing freedom and individuality to any form of totalitarianism. Schools of tomorrow. Education will undergo considerable improvements. Children will be given to explore their own interests while also participating in cooperative behavior and interaction with other children and the environment. Hands-on experiments and tours of the natural environment, production plants, and other industries will provide ongoing laboratories of learning. The learning environment would encourage actual participation on simplified levels. Younger children would plant seeds in soil, irrigate, fertilize them, and record their growth, as is presently done in many schools. Actually participating in plant and animal development alters forever a child's view of nature and enhances their comprehension of the way nature works and how